Bruce Wayne called while you were walking and talking with Mr. Irons. He wants to do a few joint business ventures with Whirlpool Inc. and Wayne Enterprises to further help the world, said Mercy, with Menma smirking a bit. Of course he does, Mercy. But we both know what his true intentions are when it comes to doing business with me. Mr. Wayne wants to use this as a means of spying on me and all of my business dealings to see if I am every bit the secret villain he thinks I am. What better way to spy on my actions legally than to do it with his own company joined at the hip with mine? Replied Menma, while knowing Bruce Wayne would use every chance to learn more about him and his suspicions regarding the Shadow Clone's real identity. Watchtower a few hours later. How's the leg? Asked Steel to Batman when he sat down at the conference table with several of the other members of the Justice League, who had finally come back from the wedding and met some of the new additions to this room. Namely, Steel to replace Superman and Power Girl, to replace Wonder Woman in terms of members. Wonder Girl was also considered to take over for Diana once she became the newly declared Wonder Woman. But the Amazon declined. Donna had stated she didn't feel ready due to her own level of experience was not the same as Diana's when serving the Justice League. Sore, growled Batman angrily, while his pride hurt more. You're lucky it wasn't worse. The blast radius of the explosion was meant to kill 2 people. Not 1, said Jon Stewart while Batman glared at him for a second. I'm well aware of that. I am also aware of just how far the enemy will go to hurt me, said Batman while taking this very seriously. It had been a long time since anyone got that close to ending his life. If his cape had not been so well designed to provide protection as well as flexibility, Batman had no doubt the explosion would have killed him. The end result would have not been pleasant in his mind. Damian would grow up without a father when needed most, and Talia would be back to raising him alone. She knew the risks he took as Batman, but their son was an entirely different matter. Not to mention the news would draw out Talia's father and the considerable chance of the man learning of his secret grandson. You didn't need to be the world's greatest detective to know things would spiral out of control from his death alone. Yes, this masked ninja master. Did he really rip his face off multiple times? Asked the Martian Manhunter curiously. I saw it with my own eyes. At first I thought it was Clayface, but the man was officially declared cured of his condition long before what happened. This ninja has clearly become a master of deception and blending in with his surroundings, on a level we cannot begin to fathom, said Batman gravely, while the others were concerned by this. Do you have any leads or suspicions? Asked Shayera while Batman surprised them by nodding. 1. I suspect Uzumaki Menma himself to be the ninja master, said Batman while the others were shocked by this. What? Uzumaki Menma? The head of Whirlpool Inc.? That Uzumaki Menma? Asked Flash in surprise. The very same. Shortly after this ninja appears, things begin to change in Gotham, and elsewhere in various places. Cadmus has been crippled. Its most high-ranking members are dead. Not only that, but Menma is the only one who benefits from this. The bug I planted in his office was destroyed soon after I left the day I went to see him in person as my other half. Soon after that, Police Commissioner Gordon, and the entirety of Gotham City's police department, is beaten completely into submission before making me public enemy number 1 within Gotham itself. At the same time, a new program is being used to remove powers from various criminals, and then employ them. The first being Victor Fries, who was mysteriously cured along with his wife, and shortly thereafter he is soon employed by Menma to work for him, said Batman while many were seeing it was a possibility. But it can't be him. Don't you remember? At the time Batman was at the Opera House and nearly got himself blown up. Uzumaki Menma was at a charity function. John was there as Clark Kent since our Boy Scout got married and can't be Clark anymore, said Flash with many remembering that, and nodded. Flash is correct. I was there. Uzumaki Menma donated the most to the charity function by far out of everyone there. He didn't leave until near the end. Long after the attack and Batman was hospitalized here on the Watchtower, replied John, while having been in a few conversations with the man during that time. So he was never out of sight for too long. He could have the ability to be at 2 places at once. Like a copy, maybe. Some metahumans do have that type of power, offered Shayera, since this world's metahumans had many different powers. John, did you sense anything from him when near Menma? Asked Batman while John shook his head no. Not really. When I saw him donate images in his mind of poor people, namely children struggling to live, to find food and shelter, even if it meant stealing the former just to try feeding themselves or their families. His extremely generous donation was genuine, and I sensed no evil thoughts in his mind. Though I will say part of his mind surrounding more of his deeper and personal thoughts were unusually well guarded, said John while the others narrowed their eyes. Guarded? How? Asked Batman curiously. Like your own, only more refined. As if he has practiced it for decades, if not centuries, before today. I didn't think anything of it at the time, since I assumed they were of a time long since past. That was painful, and the man strived hard to keep those memories locked away, replied John with Batman narrowing his eyes further. He needs to be investigated immediately. I don't care what the company line is for the public to eat up. It is clearly not true, ordered Batman while many were wondering if he was right or not. You might get your chance. I was actually approached by Uzumaki Menma to work for him at Whirlpool Inc. to make new power suits for police to one day use in the future, said Steele while the others looked at him in surprise. What did you say? Asked John curiously. I told him I would think about it and get back to him. I will admit, Menma's offer was very tempting. He even said I would have final say on the product being ready before it gets put into production. Doing everything correctly over doing it quickly? I actually met Poison Ivy when I was in the elevator with him, replied Steele with Batman getting tense at the mention of the eco-terrorist. And? Asked Batman with Steele shrugging. We talked for a bit. I watched her carefully, but she was all business. No flirting or close contact where she could influence my mind or Menma's. When in the elevator, she was in full scientist mode. Apparently, she wants to make plants that feed off pollutants and use them to reverse the damage done to the planet as a whole. Menma told me that she even wants to do some terraforming at various locations where landfills are located. Once they are cleaned out, said Steele with Batman, not liking that one bit since Poison Ivy used her talents for making plants by making a lot of other people's lives miserable. Will you be working on the same floor as her if you accepted? Asked John curiously. I don't know. I think I would be working on another floor away from her, given our two fields of expertise are entirely different. But chances are we would run into each other on occasion depending on lunch breaks, or if our projects were to somehow interlink, said Steele. While he was sure that while the company labs were big, and the company itself was an even bigger place, there was always a chance to meet up with the other scientists from different divisions. Take the job. It's the only way we can gain some form of access to Whirlpool Inc. from the inside. I am using my businessman persona on my company so I can have some form of oversight into some of the projects Menma is having his company working on, said Batman while Steele thought it over and nodded. Wait, what if you are wrong? What if Menma is actually a good guy, and this whole thing blows up in our faces? Public opinion of us being heroes will drop considerably, warned Flash while Batman scowled. Since he never cared for public opinion, and being a hero was not a popularity contest. The evidence against him is hard to dispute, Flash. The man is not who he claims to be, and as such must be investigated, said Batman firmly. But if this guy knows who you are behind the mask, won't he suspect something with your company wanting to work hand in hand with Whirlpool Inc.? Asked Flash with Batman nodding. I'm sure he does know, but I intend to use it to my advantage all the same if he accepts it. At the very least, my company can gain access to the various projects he's working on, and determine their primary use, said Batman, while the others nodded before the overall meeting was concluded. And Power Girl went to her room before pulling out a cell phone from deep within her cleavage to make a call with Naruto sometime later. I see. That's not unexpected of Batman given his paranoid nature. My guess he feels that with the League now involved, those close to him can be properly protected from harm, said Naruto while sitting on the edge of the large bubbling hot tub in the bathroom and listening to Power Girl's report on the meeting. How do you want me to handle this? Asked Karen curiously. Do nothing for now. You can't do anything anyway, given your recent appointment to one of the head seats of the Justice League. Just keep me informed from time to time on what Batman is doing, but make sure not to get caught. The man is paranoid as it is and will most likely be monitoring all forms of communications from the Watchtower to see who might be feeding me information, said Naruto, knowing the Dark Knight would go that far. Hence why Naruto had Karen use a burned cell phone he gave her, but said to destroy it soon after, so it couldn't be traced back to either of them. Will do. Also say hi to Kara and Galatea for me, said Karen, with Naruto smirking. Don't worry, I will, replied Naruto before hung up the phone before looking down at the two hot, naked, sweaty, and aroused blonde Kryptonians on either side of him currently working their mouths over his manhood while soaking in the water. Will do, hence their names, Kara and Galatea. Was that Karen? Asked Kara between licking Naruto's shaft and kissing it. Yeah, she says. Hi to both of you, by the way, said Naruto with a grin. If Karen only knew what we were doing right now, I doubt she would be saying hi to us, remarked Galatea while letting out a giggle. I have no doubt she would be angry, said Naruto with his own grin increasing, while the two women went to work on his shaft once more. Isha paradise. Kissing cousins was going to be awesome. Whirlpool Inc. Several months later, late at night. Batman moved through the labs of Whirlpool Inc. with a purpose. He, along with Robin and Batgirl, began accessing different computer terminals to dig into the mainframe. Their purpose? To download all the information from the Whirlpool Inc. R databases, along with uploading a program that allowed a secret backdoor uplink to the Bat computer. The reason? Batman's growing paranoia. In the months since that meeting to discuss spying on Uzumaki Menma, the investigation had hit a proverbial dead end. Steele, or rather John Henry Irons, was given his own floor, with his own staff to assist him in the assigned project, and basically given everything he needed to get things started. Of course, John Henry was also using his time to ask around and meet some new faces he hadn't seen before when working for Lex. Apparently, some of these scientists were once Star Labs employees, and even a few who once worked for Wayne Enterprises. They had been tasked with various projects at each of their previous places of employment. But the funding was never enough, or the overall project just could not get off the ground fast enough to appease the directors in charge. But when Uzumaki Menma came along, he scooped them all up and told them to go nuts with the funding he was giving them so long as they got the job done correctly. All in all, John found Menma to be a much better boss to have over Lex Luthor any day of the week. Still, it didn't mean his overall mission in finding anything suspicious would be halted simply because the man was a nice boss. So John Henry continued to dig for anything in a discreet manner, but by the end of the first month working for Whirlpool Inc., the man had turned up absolutely nothing incriminating. Batman was having similar problems, but as Bruce Wayne, and Wayne Enterprises being part of several technological medical ventures, the Dark Knight was sure his own crack team of scientists would spot something during their time partnering with Menma's own group. But all reports given to the billionaire about each new update on the projects being worked on said otherwise. His own board of directors were salivating over the amount of money the company was going to make partnering with Whirlpool Inc. You needed a janitor to come in afterward, the initial meeting about it to wipe away the river of drool. But Bruce Wayne wasn't convinced. He was sure something dark and sinister was being done in the deep regions of Whirlpool Inc. without anyone realizing it. He needed to gain complete access to the company's network and files to see just what the man was up to before it was too late. Does anyone else think this move is the wrong one? Asked Robin while he was working on the system to give him access. I hate to say this, but I kind of agree with you. This does seem a bit extreme for us, said Batgirl while working one of her own on another floor. It has to be done. Steele couldn't find anything, so it's up to us, said Batman while he had actually gone higher to the top level in Menma's office. That and your own methods using Wayne Enterprises to do it legally were a complete flop thus far, commented Robin while getting a growl in his comm. Bye, Batman! "Remind me to triple your training simulator difficulty when we get back," remarked Batman while Robin winced and Batgirl smirked. "Ouch! Don't be too hard on Robin. Damian might get suspicious on why his big brother is walking around with a bruise on his face, or a limp when walking," said Batgirl, since she knew Damian saw Tim as a big brother of sorts, even if Tim was adopted by Bruce and there wasn't any blood relation. Any further talk ended when the alarms immediately went off in the labs, plus the ones in Menma's office, which resulted in the said rooms going into full-blown lockdown. All the computers instantly turned off via forced shutdown. Massive steel-reinforced plating had come down in front of the glass windows of the labs, and Menma's office to prevent any kind of escape. Even a highly potent knockout gas was being pumped into the rooms via the company's ventilation system above the three heroes, who did not even expect such an immediate response or defense against such an intrusion. "Masks? Now!" commanded Batman while putting on breathing masks to prevent the gas from knocking them out. "How do we get out?" "We can't cut through the steel with a torch because of the gas," said Robin while keeping low with his mask on. "Go through the vents. As long as we have our masks on, the gas can't knock us out," said Batgirl while moving toward one of the vents to open. "I would advise you three to stand down," said the voice of Uzumaki Menma to the shock and slight horror at their calm. "Frequency being hacked." "How did you get this frequency?" demanded Batman while sensing Menma smirking. "I'm a genius. I make it my business to protect what is mine, and you three are attacking what is mine. And before you think leaping into the vent is the right path to take at this point, the laser grid in the vents are set to the lethal level necessary of taking limbs off from the body, and even if you manage to get through that piece of security, I have quite a few more surprises in store for you. All of them nasty and lethal. So go ahead, make the attempt to escape. Also, I have you three on camera trying to hack into my company, and I will show this to the news media if you don't stand down. Imagine the scandal it would cause the Justice League, with one of their own founding members caught committing corporate espionage against one of the increasingly respected companies in Metropolis. So, unless you want a scandal and demand to the Justice League by the public for your arrest, I suggest the three of you not go anywhere until my security teams arrive to take you to my office. Or in Batman's case, flush out the gas, and my security detain him in my office until I arrive with his two sidekicks in tow," said Menma, while Robin and Batgirl got a bit nervous regarding the threat, since such a move by the head of Whirlpool Inc. would force the Justice League to surrender Batman to the government for such a crime. "How do we know you won't have your men won't shoot us on sight?" asked Batman, knowing that could be the case. "Because my men are listening in on our conversation, and know better than to not listen to my orders. I pay them a lot to listen to me, and I can punish them just as much if they do not," said Menma coldly, while Batman sensed the man was glancing at his men, and they were all nodding in agreement. "Robin, Batgirl, stand down," said Batman with great reluctance. Doing as they were told, the two sidekicks waited for the gas in the room to be vented out of the labs, and the metal plates from the windows to go up. As expected, a group of well-armed men and women with weapons were pointing said weapons at them. They two of them were soon escorted to Menma's office, where more armed security, Batman, Mercy, and Menma himself were waiting. Batman was scowling, Mercy looked pissed, and the only one smiling was Menma while sitting at his desk. "Ah, good. The gang is all here. Now we can talk business," said Menma with the three heroes, looking at him with either surprise or a scowl on their faces. "And what business do we have to discuss with you?" asked Batman coldly while Menma motioned for his guards to leave. "With the exception of Mercy. Namely, the fact you and your sidekicks here are committing several illegal acts within my company. And before you deny it, I have more than enough evidence to support it. You three hacking into my systems was traced almost instantly to your locations. I have security camera footage of you performing the crime, and my security teams brought you here being witnesses. If I were to file charges against all three of you, I would win, and the Justice League would have to surrender you over to the police in order to avoid a very big scandal," replied Menma while Batman narrowed his eyes. "But you won't do it. You want something from me, with this being leverage in your back pocket. Should I refuse to back down?" deduced Batman, with Menma's smile increasing. Naturally. Mercy here thinks I should say to hell with you, and just have you arrested anyway for trying what you did. After all, you did try to damage my company's image. Try to damage all the work I have done since being head of a once corrupt company run by an egoistical madman in a business suit. Trying to damaging the company I turned around to the point where the name Whirlpool Inc. is something worth saying with pride within Metropolis. I will admit I should be taking this on a bit personal level. I will freely admit, I am very tempted to listen to Mercy's advice and have you three arrested. To have you three sent to prison, masks off, exposed to who you are in life beyond your tights, and gadgets used on criminals who get away with their crimes. To have you three be targeted by all the criminals you put away, and the corrupt guards said criminals are willing to bribe to do whatever they want. I am so tempted to see how long you last in the first week of being locked away in a cell while surrounded by people who just want you to suffer before dying, replied Menma, while seeing Batgirl and Robin go pale since they put a lot of men and some women away for past crimes. But you won't. What do you want? Asked Batman, with Menma becoming serious and looking right into Batman's eyes. I know you think I'm some kind of bad guy, some evil villain hiding behind a business suit, and who had more money than most countries could hope to have in their own banks. You think I'm like Luthor when Superman was around to protect the city. Well, I am not him. I've seen people like him, met people like him. I've shaken hands with people like him. And I have even melted my hands in acid to wipe the taint of the touch from people like him. I understand your paranoia, Batman. Believe me when I say I do. I respect it since I come off as someone who is too good to be true. What's his angle? Is your line of thought? What is he scheming? Being the next one? I'm sorry to disappoint you, Batman, but the sad truth is, I have no grand evil scheme. I just want to help others, said Menma, while Batman didn't believe him in the slightest. Like you helped those inmates at Arkham. I know you are the master ninja who entered and killed those people. The one who killed Dr. Hamilton. Sam Lane. Amanda Waller, said Batman, while Mercy narrowed her eyes and tightened her hands into fists. Can you prove I am this master ninja who killed those people in Arkham? That I killed Dr. Hamilton, Sam Lane, or this Amanda Waller person, all of whom I have never met once in my life? Asked Menma, while Batman remained silent for a long moment. No, answered Batman, with Menma nodding. I didn't think that you would find anything since I am not this master ninja in the first place, said Menma casually, while Batman narrowed his eyes further. You didn't tell me what you wanted, remarked Batman, while Menma nodded. What I want, Batman, is for you to leave my company and myself alone. No peeking, no infiltrating, no spying, no sabotaging, no damages, and just everything else you would do in this case with the word no attached behind it, replied Menma, while Batman grit his teeth. He's basically banning Batman from his company, if not all of Metropolis itself, thought Batgirl and Robin at the same time, while Batman himself growled angrily. And if I refuse? Asked Batman, while Menma growled back, only much louder. You're a smart man. I'm sure you already know the answer, replied Menma, while he saw Batman say nothing for a moment. We're leaving, said Batman before leaving the room, with the two shocked sidekicks following behind him. Do you think he will stay away? Asked Mercy, while Menma nodded.